Good morning. It's Tuesday, February 13th, 9:30 a.m. If you'd all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start with a prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligation. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage, that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen.
Amen. I move to approve the minutes of the February 6th meeting.
Second?
Second. Moved and second. Any discussions or modifications? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Abstain?
Hambley?
Yes. All right. And open up to public comment regarding any of our resolutions. Seeing none, go ahead and proceed. County Engineer's Office is here. Dan Becker.
Morning.
Good morning.
Let's see what we got today. I've got two resolutions for your consideration. The first is the necessity to close Lake Road for some surveying, roadside construction work. And the second is accepting and awarding the 2024 replacement of bridge number 44 on River Corners Road.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second?
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Hey, thanks. Have a good one. Jeremy Sinko, our sanitary engineer. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. 6 resolutions for consideration today. The first is amending a professional design service agreement with Jones & Henry Engineers for the Boston Road Sanitary Sewer Pump Station project. The second is amending a legal service agreement with Albers & Albers to review and rewrite the sanitary engineers' rules and regulations. The third is accepting and awarding the bid for the Substation Road Water Main Improvement Project. The fourth is authorizing the sanitary engineer to certify delinquent utility accounts balances in accordance with Section 6103.02 and 6117.02 of the Ohio Revised Code. The fifth is authorizing the sanitary engineer to enter into an agreement with Dixon for construction inspection services for the Gayer Road Water Storage Tank Rehabilitation Project. And the final is authorizing change order number 1 for the Substation Elevated Water Storage Tank Project.
Move to approve 6 resolutions.
Second?
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Nicole Lee, our Human Resources Assistant. Good morning.
Good morning. I have one resolution for you today. It's approving our personnel changes for employees. We have 3 new hires, 1 in solid waste, 1 in sanitary, 1 at the county home. 2 rate increases, 1 at the office for older adults, 1 at county home, 1 leave of absence and maintenance, 1 name correction in office for older adults, 1 resignation at JFS, and 1 probationary removal at sanitary.
Move to approve.
Second?
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Brett Thomas, our Finance Director. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have 7 resolutions for you today. Our first one is a revenue adjustment for the Felony Delinquent Care Grant. Landed in a wrong line item. Our second resolution is moving funds for the print shop revenue for the month, which will bring us to our third resolution, which is gasoline fund movement for the month. Our fourth resolution is purchase of 7,100 gallons of gas for the engineering center. Our friends at Ports Petroleum came in as the low bid again at $2.06.9 per gallon. Our fifth resolution is expenses for the Adult Probation Department. We have some out-of-state travel. The first one is listed for mandatory training in Oklahoma City for $6,000, and our second one is a trip to California for $37,000. We will actually have some additional costs that hit for that California trip. Our sixth resolution is expenses of other county officials. We do not have any out of state on this one. And finally, our seventh resolution is our weekly bills in the amount of $2,331,155.48. It's up a little bit this week for our payout for McDack.
Move to approve the 7 resolutions.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
The the probation travel, looks like both of those are mandatory trainings. Is that right? They're both drug court mandatory trainings?
Yes, that is what they are listed as.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you for clarifying that. Roll call, please.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes. All right, very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Brett. Chris Jacob, our county administrator. Good morning.
Good morning. 3 resolutions for you this morning to present. The first authorizes a change order for the Medina County Human Service Center exterior repair project. This is actually a credit. We get a deduct in the overall contract value associated with the savings on the additional steel work that was required. That decrease is $23,011.36. Next resolution declares Medina County property as excess property. This relates specifically to all of the phone instruments that were part of the previous phone system that was in place here at the county. There are hundreds of phones in boxes in our boiler room downstairs, and there are some also at 72 Public Square. So we would like to auction those as one big lot to anybody who may be interested in buying them from us.
Okay.
They've been sitting there for quite a while now, so it's time to unload them.
Yes.
Free up some space for storage for other
All right.
needs, so.
Cool. Okay.
Not sure what the value is on those.
Guess we'll see.
We shall.
I've got a guess.
Third and final resolution this morning. Accepts bids for the Medina County Veterans Services Office Building addition and renovation project and awarding the bid. The low bid for this project was Fiorilli Construction. The amount of their bid was $1,375,000, which is pretty close, within several thousand of the architect estimate. As you may recall, you had previously allocated $1.3 million in ARPA funds for this project, so there's an additional $75,000 that will have to be funded for this project from whatever source we can identify. We know that monies are available, I think, in other funds to apply towards this. There will be some change orders that are associated with this project, especially on the site work that's going to be required because of the fill once we get in and start digging up for the foundation pouring. So we're going to have to also set aside some additional funds for that. But in the essence of moving this project forward, knowing that we do have some available resources and some other funds that we can apply towards this, I would recommend we proceed with the bid award. And Ed has Zachary from our Veteran Services Office is here also, and I know he's anxious to move this project forward after some delay. So he is budgeted for furniture and equipment and some miscellaneous and moving costs in his operating budget this year to pay for those types of expenses, so those won't be additional charges against that allocation in the ARPA fund. So I don't know, Ed, do you want to say anything?
No, I'm good.
Thank you.
It's a long time coming, so it's exciting.
I presume we'll have further conversation tomorrow when we talk about the budget.
Yes, we will.
Adoption as to where the sources and what we anticipate for contingencies.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Good.
In light of that, I move to approve the 3 resolutions.
Second.
Moving to second, I'll just say, Ed, I know that just for the public fair warning is, I asked Ed earlier when you guys are going to move your operation over temporarily to the professional building to make way for this, and you said, what, 9:45 when we approve this?
We're calling it the bunker, by the way.
Yeah, the bunker. Yeah, well. But that just so the public duly notes that you're going to limit the limit the closure to about like 3 days, but at the most, hopefully, during that transition, in which case people can still come in for the service. You'll just be at a different location, and obviously we'll do everything.
We're going to advertise it, social
Sure.
media, everything. We'll get the word out when we know the exact day.
Oh, yeah, well, until they, get everything going with Enterprise. But and that obviously with our office will cooperate in trying to let the public know and the veterans know that this is where at least temporarily, that they can get the services.
Yeah, we're planning on putting a sign up in the parking lot that,
Super.
if someone does show up over there, they know where to go.
Super, great, all right, good. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Thank you
Very
very
good.
much.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, we have department updates. Richard Nelson, our chief building official.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll start off saying that this year's starting off pretty average. The value of new construction did spike up because the Wadsworth Middle School was issued here and was issued in January, almost a $39 million project. So that skewed our numbers and made this January look quite large compared to last January. New homes, value of new homes starting off this year is pretty well below last year's final average at $324,000. Last year ended up $395,000, the year average for new home cost. New home starts in January, pretty much right on average at 22. It's fairly typical for new home starts in January for the last 5 years. Moving on to page 2, our receipts again jumped up because of the school project compared to last January. Skipping page 3, year to date, it's the same thing. Page 4, residential permits issued by township. And page 5, commercial permits issued by township. And the last page shows the commercial projects issued, identifies the value and who they're for. And again, shows the pretty good sized Wadsworth Middle School. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have
Good,
for you.
Good start.
Yeah,
Excellent.
super good start.
good, great.
Alrighty.
All right, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Good job. All right. Phil Titterington, our Adam Board Director.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Okay, so just report for the Adam Board. And as you recall every quarter, I'll give you a report on pretty much specifically what the levy funds go towards, and some of the numbers are pretty impressive. As you can imagine, the need for services continues. The level of requests for supportive housing still exceeds. We have 44 units, and they are filled. We could use some more group homes, adult group homes. We're always looking at and working with the state on potentially either recertifying for additional beds or what's out there. During this reporting period, we've also entered into contracts regionally. So we've entered into for residential crisis stabilization services with counties such as Stark, Richland, Trumbull, Mahoning, and we can work with our clients and provide transportation through our agencies to get them there. And then obviously the number of psychiatric hospitalizations requested during that reporting period, and the reporting period is the fourth quarter of last calendar year, but that is doubled. So we've been leveraging and working with the state for some additional dollars or dollars that we can use and tap into private psychiatric hospitalizations. So in combination with the state psychiatric hospital as well as the private psychiatric hospitals, we're able to serve the clients and individuals in need. So we're kind of watching that to see how if that keeps increasing as well. A little report on our contracted providers, which include Ohio Guidestone, Alternative Paths, and Catholic Charities. Just a reminder that Alternative Paths has physical locations in Brunswick, Lodi, Medina, and Wadsworth. Ohio Guidestone has 2 offices in Medina, and they have a heavy presence in in-home services, and Catholic Charities' main office is here in Medina. So in the fourth quarter, Alternative Paths, Catholic Charities, and Ohio Guidestone served approximately 5,761 clients, and that's broken as 90% adult, 10% youth. Of those, approximately 1,936, or 38%, were adults, and 193 youth that are receiving psychiatric services, so more intensive services. There are approximately 246, or 46%, youth were diagnosed with serious emotional disturbance, the high end there. They have intensive mental health needs there. Our Youth Resiliency and Counseling Center, the new building that we have, continues to operate, collaborate, work with other partners to provide trauma-centered trauma care to families as well as the children there. Human Services Levy is very instrumental in helping provide, fill gaps that other funding sources don't, as you know. So, for example, our 24/7 Crisis and Behavioral Health Helpline, which is operated through Alternative Paths. During this reporting period, there were 874 calls or engagements through that hotline. 53 individuals verbalized suicidal thoughts. There were 9 active rescues where either law enforcement was sent out, and there were 59 referrals were made directly from law enforcement to crisis intervention. So that synergy is working very well there. And Alternative Paths also operates our LOSS team, individual local outreach to suicide survivors, and during that reporting period, there were 4 dispatched 4 times there. Levy funding also focuses on our recovery supports. Hope Recovery Community and Kathy's House officially merged. So, that provides a lot of benefits there and streamlines all of the services as well. The Adam Board was a part of that whole process there, so we are very hopeful, and we were supportive in that move. Their main hub, so it's going to operate under Hope Recovery Community. Hope Recovery Community's main hub still remains over there in Medina on Highland Drive, the Adam Board's house there. They're providing recovery supports and programming also at the farm. And we hear a lot about the farm, and that's something that the state really has focused on, and it's got a lot of notoriety. One thing that really to be proud of in Medina County is not only am I getting requests throughout the state, so is Hope Recovery Community. How do people want to know how they can mirror what we're doing? So we are really ahead of the curve in all of that. They offer recovery supports 365 days a year, 24/7. They were open during Christmas and the holidays. They served meals. They had groups there as well. Also during this reporting, there were 162 calls to the Hope Link program. So kind of in combination with, we have the crisis hotline, but there's also a Hope Link. So individuals who are looking for recovery, looking for assistance there, have a number that they can call, and they're connected with a peer recovery support. And what that allows them to do is to work with that individual as they transition and they develop their recovery journey, get them in treatment, get them in detox, whatever's needed there. So they also, they have 15 certified peer recovery supporters working at Hope Recovery Community, 7 at Ohio Guidestone, and they serve an average of 84 individuals per month, get that peer support. During October through December, there were 207 inmates inside the jail that received peer support services. And Hope Recovery Community linked 76 individuals to detox, residential treatment, or recovery housing, which if the insurance doesn't pay, the Adam Board is one who provides the funding for that. And then finally, levy funds also include and help out with medication-assisted treatment, which we are seeing a severe increase in terms of need, which is good. I know there's not a direct correlation whether more people are out there that need it, I can't tell, or are people just, we're out there and now they want it. So in any event, so 97 individuals per month are receiving MAT through Ohio Guidestone and Alternative Paths. The nice thing is they can start that medication in the jail and carry themselves out with it as well. And then finally, for our recovery housing, our women's recovery house remains full at 12 with a waiting list there. And there are 40 beds, male beds in the county, and those are completely full, as well as a big waiting list there. And then Hope Recovery Community, as you're aware, not only the main hub is Medina, they also have a physical location in Wadsworth as well as Brunswick. So that was pretty quick.
That's really good.
All right, we're getting there.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Tim.
Yes.
You mentioned the fourth quarter, the hospitalization numbers
Yes.
doubled, you said?
Yes.
Is that typical for end of year, or is there other things at play there that cause that?
Yes and no. So yes, generally we see kind of on that year, with
Mm-hmm.
holidays and such. But we've been seeing a trend over the last year in terms of an increase in need. So I think that the ultimate is just more mental health that's out there. And we are providing services and working well that we're identifying. And now that you have law enforcement that continues to work, as well as a lot of the partnerships that they know where to refer. So it's kind of a combination.
Okay, but that need is specific to the hospitalizations is increasing. So are there different approaches and strategies that are going in that direction more frequently than they have in the past, or is that just a numbers?
It's really just, it's when individuals are getting assessed, they're being assessed for that level of need.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's tough to kind of, determine. And once they're in as well, so the difference is what we're able to do, because there's that additional funding is if we have individuals who have a need for like short term, we'll try to get them into the private hospitalization because they just kind of want to get them and then transition them out. And then in combination with that, through alternative paths, we provide the funding and they do the services to kind of reunify them back into the community. Then you start to get into more of the long-term individuals that need that longer care, then the state psychiatric hospital is more favorable for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No?
Thank you for the
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Thanks for the summary. All right. Open up to public comment. All right. No public comment, then enter discussion. Laura, did you want to come up? I'd like to... Laura Toth, came to our attention late Friday that Liberty Residential in Wadsworth is basically going from an independent living facility to an assisted living, which affects 76 households?
Correct.
In there, essentially from creating a situation where individuals that are now paying anywhere from $1,000 to $1,100 a month, $3,500 a month, and essentially being given less than 2 months' notice to either go along with the program, I guess, or find elsewhere. And you've done some additional research. I know there's other members here, other departments. Denise Testa has done some research. John Hunter helped assist. Likewise, we've got some others that have plugged in, provided us some additional information to understand. Jeff Kaiser over in Wadsworth, what's going on, what's happening, and what the impact will be to the households, and how we can maybe help some of these people that are going to be literally displaced within a short period of time.
It was a very short period of time. I don't think they gave them.
Yeah, I
very
can tell
long
you that.
notice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yesterday, I went on the auditor's website to see when the ownership changed hands. It was February 6th,
Yes.
the same day that the letters came out.
Right.
So this is something that was, obviously in the planning stages before the new company took ownership. The new company being an LLC called 1054 Freedom Drive, so we really don't know who that is. I can tell you the old owners were an LLC out of California. So I'm not really sure. And in the assisted living nursing home kind of world, that's not so unusual to have big corporate owners that are certainly outside the county or the state that have nationwide reach and reach out to establish some of these communities. But this situation brought itself to light Thursday night to me when I was scrolling through Facebook and saw that letter. And then I reached out the next morning to Lori Wilkinson, who's the director at Suprema Senior Center in Wadsworth. And she said that residents had come to the senior center on Friday saying that we got these letters or we had this meeting and are certainly concerned. So then I reached out to county administrator and to you, Commissioner Hambley, to just kind of talk about it, see what we could do to help in this transition, give people more time. And then you had suggested Denise, if you could come up here, if you could just talk about reaching out to the legal entities that you have really quick.
Absolutely. So I did
And this is the
consult.
capacity for fair housing.
Right, in the capacity for fair housing, that's right. So essentially, I reached out to pro-senior advice or lawyers as well as our community legal aid. The overall feel or information that I received was that if they are on a month-to-month lease, then obviously the landlord can non-renew that lease with appropriate time of, with giving them appropriate time, essentially 30 days. If they are on a 12-month lease or an 18-month lease, then the landlord is obligated to see that original lease through. So the question is, what are the terms of the leases? What are the timeframes of the leases? And then we can advise them, I think, appropriately from there.
And that's why I had John Hunter involved with the auditor's office to look at this, because they're classified as a 412 nursing home private hospital, and they have been. Even though when you look at their planning and zoning notes that Jeff Kaiser gave us, basically that one was going to be essentially independent living residential, and that was the intent, and operated for years in that capacity. I guess I understand from the auditor's office, the belief is that it was appropriately classified based upon the legal descriptions and so forth. So I guess without seeing the lease, sounds like maybe there were those transitions from ownership, and though they probably legally covered their back ends, if you will, with creating a month-to-month lease situation where literally the residents were probably not given an opportunity other than we're changing owners and here's the conditions of the lease.
Yeah, and hopefully,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to comment. So I have several veterans that are clients down there and widows of veterans, and I've had several calls. They're getting some kind of payment from the federal government to help them down there, and they're looking for more, and there is no more. So the prices that they're putting are going to put the people out that I've talked to. I mean, they just can't afford it. But I've had several calls in the last couple of weeks about this issue.
Yeah. So what's your suggestion? We have a healthy or Ohio aging in place grant?
correct.
Okay.
We have the Healthy Aging
Yeah.
Ohio grant. So this just happens to coincide with our receipt, the county's receipt of Healthy Aging money. I think we need to do some more investigations. I mean, obviously, we can't be making security deposits for 76 people. We don't have that kind of funding, but are there things we can do to help out people in need? I think there absolutely are. So my plan is to investigate that. I would really like to know, what the lease says. I have not seen a lease. If we could get a look at one of the leases, that would be great. I'll continue to work with Suprema, as they're the senior center down in Wadsworth and the city, and see what kind of program we can come up with in the next few weeks to possibly access some of that healthy aging dollars, which can be dedicated to housing. This is right. It just fits. So let's see what we can do as a county to help out these displaced individuals in this
Would you be able to
complex.
do anything at Suprema with maybe having some of the attorneys from Community Legal Aid or other volunteer attorneys that could come in and actually take a look at the lease? I think that is, everybody's identifying that. That's really where this is going to turn, is what does the lease say? But it's one thing for us to have opinions on
Sure.
that. It's another thing for them to have their own counsel to take a look at that. So if there'd be an opportunity to facilitate something like that, albeit on very short notice, that could have a big impact too, of connecting them with resources that can really help.
It's interesting, when we looked at the valuation back in 2013, when Liberty Residence Holding purchased it, it was $11.8 million. In 2024, just on February 6th, it was valued at $4.5 million. And when you look at the condition of it and so forth, and I guess John had offered there was a court transfer. Yeah, of $6 million prior to that, and there was apparently a lawsuit against Liberty Residence of Ohio, the parent company, in 2023 for wrongful death of some resident. So it sounds like there was a lot of machinations because of their legal obligations and probably moving of holdings. But the impact is we've got 76 senior households.
Correct.
They're going to be ask to move or pay almost triple what they currently are paying, and whether they have the capacity to do that or not. Many of them may need this, some may need the services, in which case maybe they can accommodate. But where does this community find 76 available residential units? We really don't have rental capacity typically like that. We had a plethora of that. And I think that speaks, and one of the reasons for bringing this to our attention is that when you look at the numbers, and this is a problem the housing network we've identified, as well as Economic Development Corporation, is the lack of affordable housing. And when we look, we've got about 71,000 households in the county. 80% are owner-occupied, with 20% are rentals. About 20% of our households are rentals. They're the ones that are most, I'll just say, endangered by affordable housing, the issues of rising rents. And what's happening is people are getting squeezed out. The value of those rentals are going up, and whatever is happening, people are getting literally squeezed out. And we know that, and we've looked at last year when that community pulse report that was done, when they did the survey, literally 66% of the people answering that survey said that the availability of affordable housing said it was fair to very poor. 2/3 recognize it, and we know it. And this is what's going on. The trouble is that we have our most vulnerable citizens. This is not something affecting, we have a cost of a new house, $323,000 reported today for the construction, okay? This is not about the cost of housing and people building their McMansions someplace in the townships. This is really squeezing out the people that are most vulnerable and our seniors. And we have to try to aid them, assist them, see what we can do. But this is a problem that's going to require more than just this temporary aid. We really do need to, and I know we've got a number of initiatives of looking, how do we assemble and provide more opportunities for people to have good, clean, affordable, safe housing here in Medina County. And rental units are going to be part of that. Certainly seniors as they transition. Those are the kind of individuals we want to be able to help support and thrive in our community, and meet their needs. And I know this is not bashing the Woodlands of Liberty or the group. They're moving in, and they've got adopted a business model. They obviously were moving to assisted living. The question is when, and of course the process of basically going from one type of housing, independent living, to assisted living. But the problem is in the community we don't have the other components available for independent living that is affordable for many people.
Correct, and there's little doubt that assisted living, it'll be full as well. I mean, there's need in assisted living,
Agreed.
There's need in independent living, there's all kinds of housing need for the senior population.
Agreed.
Well, we've made, as a community, and we continue to make investments in providing resources for the community, the elderly community, and your office does, I think, just a sterling job with that. So because we've made those investments, I'm glad we have some of the tools, and I appreciate all the work everybody's done to kind of mobilize around this issue over the last few days. But we want to make sure that it continues to be an inviting and welcoming community from a both services standpoint and a residential standpoint, because if we don't have places for that population to live, then all the resources in the world that our county can offer are going to, be less meaningful and less impactful. So it's somewhat reminiscent. I think you had shared an article about the Euclid Beach mobile home park with where the Metro
Denise
Parks
shared
expansion
that.
happened.
Yeah.
And you realize the distinction between outcomes from owners versus renters in that dynamic. And renters have few, particularly if they're leases month to month, there isn't a whole lot of recourse that they have. And they don't get, it's not like a taking that happens of property that you might own, where you're going to get the same degree of compensation for that. And so if we're able to lean in and marshal some resources and also make tools and some resources available to those individuals, I think we owe it to the community to do that.
Skip Sipos is here from Metropolitan Housing, and I invited him. And I hate to put you on the spot. We were talking about the 76 households and the displacement of the potential displacement. You do have some senior facilities you operate. You have any vacancies?
No.
No.
Is there a waiting list? Is there a waiting list?
Yeah, I was just actually trying to find out for sure how many of the waiting lists, because we have multiple properties that serve older adults. Typically, it's age 62 and better, some are 55 and better. Each have waiting lists for them, and I believe 3 of the properties, the waiting lists are closed because the lists are so long, it gives false hope to people to get their name on the list. So
Right.
the demand that you, I'm sure, have been discussing, I apologize for my tardiness.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But the demand you're talking about is very real, and again, Medina County is a place people want to live.
Yeah, well, there was a 92%. 92% of that survey said, yeah, we're a great place to live. It's the demand is there, but the supply to actually have a place to live, and that just, like I said, is squeezing the poor people and the seniors out. The less affordable, and obviously seniors have progressive needs as they get older, and I'm glad we have assisted living, and we need more of that. But the trouble is that that independent living, people want to live independently as long as they can, and trying to make sure that we've got that available for them is getting harder, more and more difficult.
Well, when you see the cost difference between, I mean, it's great to, in theory, to say, well, I can transition into a place where they're going to provide my meals, but my rent's going to triple. You know, and that dynamic is not sustainable for most people on a fixed income.
Correct.
Yeah. So at this point, it requires more research, and I'm bringing it here for our discussion is we're all right with Laura looking at the possible, once we do the research, if we need to access some grant, utilize some of that one-time grant money that we have, fortunately, through the auspices of the Ohio House of Representatives, who was, and the governor was large advocates of allowing commissioners to have that resource for aging in place. And I'm just very thankful that we have this money available to do that. Now, that means we had other uses for it that are not going to get done, and where that included ramps, hot water heaters, roofs, all that. So any money we divert for this purpose means that there are fewer people are going to benefit from those that need those for the seniors. So those are issues we'll have to continue to try to deal with, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. At this point, I don't know, Denise, you want anything else to add, or Skip or John? And then I appreciate the Economic Development, Brandon and Jake coming as well. But this is an issue we're going to continue to work on. And Ed, thanks for your input on the veterans. Obviously, we'll continue to work on this and try to come up with some kind of answers and assistance for these individuals, whether it's legal, financial, or a combination of both.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, to add to what Skip was saying, that the privately owned independent apartments for seniors also have waiting lists. You know, so it's a continual problem, whether that be someplace like RHM in Brunswick, or Harbor Woods is in Brunswick. There's different, you know, independent living complexes. They all have waiting lists. I would venture to guess that Liberty did as well for their independent apartments.
And a 2-month notification seems obviously a bit impractical.
We'll see what we can do.
To say the worst, if not just outright wrong. Yeah. All
I
right.
also want to apologize for my phone. I'm on call for APS, and I don't know how to make it silent. So.
Oh, that's all right. All right. Okay. All right. Any other on this one? All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, bringing it to our attention, and thanks,
Appreciate
Steve, for the discussion time, too.
Sure. Chris, do you have anything? Yes. Yeah, you want, go ahead.
The one thing I wanted to discuss this morning was back in December of 21, you had entered into, this board had entered into an electric vehicle charging station program partner agreement. And Denise and I have been working with, trying to work with NOACA to determine whether this makes sense for us at this point. Again, you signed the agreement back in December of 21. We finally were able to meet with contractors on site here in November, the beginning of November 23. Subsequent to that, I had sent requests to NOACA. This is a NOACA-funded project. Requests for clarifications and the possibility of relocating where they had perceived that this charging station would go. I had sent that letter the day after meeting with the contractors. I didn't get a response. We didn't get a response back until January 30th. And now they want to get going on the installation of this charging station. I had sent a letter or email message to NOACA asking about the management of the fee payment system, the electric service connections and meter install, and who would be paying for those, and coordinating that work, the length of the commitment associated with the charging station, and again, the possibility of relocating the charging station. They had originally proposed locating it on the north side of our parking lot here in the admin building, abutting the Broadway. The contractors, when they were on site with us in November, said there's no electric on that pole that they proposed to use as the connection. It was just merely a telephone pole. So we had asked that they consider relocating it to the Liberty Street side of our parking lot, which would be closer for public access and make it more visible. The paperwork they've sent recently still shows it on the Broadway side. And now they want us to commit to this this project. Again, this is for a 6 to 7 hour charging station. It would take that long to
Almost basically all day.
Yes. So
For one car.
For one car.
For one car.
It just I guess I'm asking you if this is something you want to implement, or if you want to send correspondence to NOACA asking that they withdraw our name from this program.
My understanding is there have been a few developments, a few developments where, in other communities where similar instances have happened. I think even in the village of Lodi, they had some problems with where it was to be located and how it was to be situated that caused them to make a similar conclusion. And I think that's how it happened elsewhere in the region as well. That we're not alone in this. So I would, if there's a 2.0 version of this program, that might be better to participate in than the current version, which has been a little clunky in its rollout from what I've understood. So
I mean, just in terms of, my gut level says, I'd rather see them invest in one good located fast charge than
Yes.
either 2 or 3 slow charge in places that people can't access.
I
It
think
makes no
the
sense.
slow charge is completely ineffective for our area.
Yeah. So at this point, since they can't accommodate or don't seem to recognize that there actually is a better location and a place that more consumer friendly, I'd say we just decline.
yeah, we don't have any
Liability.
Have
I
we
don't
heard
think so.
anything from any of our employees about a demand for this? I haven't seen a lot of Teslas in our county parking lot, but
No, I think we have one in the courthouse lot
Okay.
that may be able to use this. Out of, this is geared towards employee use,
Yeah.
not
And
so much for the public use.
and
Sure.
that was what I was curious about. If there's a clamoring for it that maybe makes it worth a few extra hoops to jump through, but I wasn't familiar with any. So
I have got no sense that there's a huge demand for this. There's also $15 million in a second phase, and that perhaps
Right.
the charging project would be for the fast charging system,
Yeah.
and we could ask that we be considered in that phase.
Sure.
We would have to prepare a cancellation notice to send to NOACA if that's how the board wants to proceed
Now,
with
you
this.
did mention, you asked about questions about the billing and so forth, and how that's handled, and were they ever able to clarify any of that?
Sort of.
Okay.
I had some additional follow-up questions,
all right.
but I thought, not sure that I would get a response before probably May, so.
Okay, got it.
And this,
but generally, when
us,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
us serving one employee a day, if it's like 6 hours, that's
Yeah.
so inefficient.
Well,
Well,
it's not a
generally
free
when-
charge.
I was gonna say,
either. It's a
Oh, no, it's a
cost.
charge.
There's a-
But I mean,
there's a
only
meter.
one a day if it's 6 hours.
And I think most of our employees aren't traveling great distance to come to the workplace, vast majority.
Yeah.
And they typically would have charging stations at home that they would utilize.
Probably.
At probably a fee structure that might even be less than we would have to charge.
Because there is some sort of metering
Yes.
at assuming we find power
Yes.
to connect it to.
And there's some billing responsibility on our end, the county's end,
Yeah.
which I guess I didn't initially realize, that we would have to take over the responsibility of charging or expensing this to the users of the system. And obviously that would be a new process. We could do it, probably, but again, it's kind of, there was supposed to be a payment processing agreement that was already in place per this agreement that we signed, and that actually has not, I don't think, been in place yet by NOACA after several years. So.
Well, as I understand it, the staff member that was responsible for this at NOACA has left, and then they had some personnel issues in terms of staffing this, and that has created some difficulty. I think it warrants for us just to step back, decline it, and then reevaluate a proposal based upon the second round of funding, and see if it makes more sense for our uses, our employees, as well as the general public.
Is our grid still powered by coal primarily? Just curious.
Now, yeah,
So,
the sun's shining, so right now it's maybe.
so if you'd like, I can prepare the notice.
Okay, sure.
That'd be great,
regarding
sure.
the cancellation of this project and include the statement that we'd like to be considered in the second round.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Perhaps,
Okay, sounds
if that's
good.
acceptable.
Yep,
Okay.
sure.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, let's see. Anybody else? Okay, if not, Colleen?
Yeah, I had sent you an email about the hearing loops over at the courthouse, and one of the companies that bid was considerably higher than one that we had already used at OOA. So again, I was proposing that all of the courtrooms, probate, juvenile, domestic, common pleas A, common pleas B, and the visiting judge courtroom be looped for the hearing impaired, and then in addition, have each judge pick one additional hearing room that of their choice to be looped, that they could move over into should somebody have a hearing problem in one of their cases. So again, the total project is $29,300. Laura Toth has set aside $19,000 from the grant that she received.
From that aging grant.
From the aging grant. So, you know, this memo was written before we got the notice for this. So, you know, there was an additional $10,300 out of courthouse construction funds. I don't know at this time if you guys want to put it on hold in case you want the $19,000 for the other project, or
I'm inclined to proceed with the hearing loops.
Okay.
Yeah, I am too. I think we could find that from elsewhere if we need to, and I
Yeah, if
think
we
it's an
need.
important need.
okay, so you're okay
And
if
it's
I move?
qualified for that, as you found out.
Right, well, yeah, and then, like I said, Chris had notified me that the balance we still have a little bit of courthouse construction funds. So, I'll make sure we get a resolution together, notify the two companies, and it will take several months, to schedule this because, you know, the judges already have their dockets for the next couple months. So although we'll be moving forward, installation will be probably at least 4 months away.
And that cost structure factored in the timeline of the construction.
I'm going to
timeline?
notify
Okay.
I'm going to contact the company that we've decided on them and see if they're still
Great.
okay with this timeline
Good,
on the
good.
prices.
Yes, thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I'd be glad to see that kind of work
Yes.
through very quickly, and, yeah, just the better access to the legal system, all the better. So, anything else?
I do not.
I have one thing that is more, well, not necessarily business, but I assume most people in this room watched the Super Bowl on Sunday. There was a Medina County native in the Super Bowl playing for the 49ers, fullback Kyle Juszczyk. So it's really neat for all the hoopla around some people from Cleveland Heights that are in the game. There's also
Was there somebody from Cleveland
Yeah, there was. Yeah, yeah. And his girlfriend, I think, made it to the game. too.
There's a couple people from Cleveland Heights there.
But in any
Didn't
event,
notice.
having a Cloverleaf and Medina County native represented in the game was pretty neat to see. The second time he's played in the Super Bowl, if I remember
Good.
correctly. So I enjoyed that. Added a little added local touch.
Sure, indeed, yeah. The one thing I have to add, I think you received copies of the bylaws that were adopted for One Ohio region. And then as part of that process is officially designating an alternate. I've been the appointed individual. The alternate would also be likely appointed by us Aaron, I know you serve in that capacity. Would you be willing to
Absolutely.
continue? All right. And we're still working out with the state, One Ohio Foundation, as to the process for the grants. I know there's been a lot of requests, inquiries, and so forth as to that, but it's been stalled a couple times because of the state new director and kind of the direction they're taking and overseeing that grant application process. So, but we're working through it. But the bylaws are necessary for us to continue that effort.
Sure.
So, all right. I don't have anything else.
And I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Move second. Roll call, please.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes. Thank you very much, and
Thanks.
have a good day. Enjoy the sunshine.